there's something to be said for reaching out to help, reaching out for help to the people that are available to you. We can make ourselves available, but if the person on the other side doesn't receive or accept our help, there's not much more we can do. We can keep offering, showing up, but it's important to emphasize that it's safe to ask for help. It may not always feel, our mind and brain may tell us that we got to do it alone. They're going to judge my journey. And my experience has been every single time I've hired a mentor, a coach, a trainer, they've taken me to that next level that I couldn't get by myself. I'd plateaued. I only knew what I knew. And they brought in a new awareness about my body, or maybe a limiting where I was limiting myself.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Allsmith. Today, I sit down with someone who embodies the courage to rewrite her story in the face of life storms. Reet German is a proud mom to Miss Mila, a woman whose path has been marked by transformation, grief, healing, and rediscovery. For 2 decades, she's built a career in the corporate world, but in 2020, when the world stopped, she made a life altering choice to step away, sell everything, and leap into the unknown. Today, I'm excited to unpack the story of Reet German. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Bryce. Thank you for having me.
I'm stoked to connect with you. I gave a little snippet there. Like, I have so much more that I want to share with our listeners and our community today about you and what you've experienced through your life's journey so far. But I honestly cut it early. I was like, I don't want to be the one to share this. I want you to have the safe space to kind of pay it forward in your tone, in your context, and what we discussed a little bit beforehand, which is just your passion and your enthusiasm for life based on overcoming so much. So thanks so much for being here today.
It's truly a pleasure. I love sharing anything that can inspire another person on sitting on the other side, right? Sitting on that edge of being like, man, I don't know what to do. You do know what to do. You do know what to do. It's inside of us, right? And it's just got to quiet down and listen.
I think that's a great way to describe it because, by the way, it's 11:11. Make a wish. When you think about it, so many people don't know what they don't know. And you're right. People do know what to do, but they have to learn to listen to the heart's whispers. And I
Mhm.
think that's a skill acquisition. That takes time to quiet the mind, minimize distraction, let go or deconstruct ego to then truly listen and realize like, hey, which direction am I supposed to go? Where's the pull? Where's the push? Who should I listen to? And what's my filtration as to how to navigate this next life decision? So, I agree with you, but I also challenge that like there needs to be some life experience and some healing in order to create some clarity of lenses as to figure out exactly what to do. Would you agree?
Completely. Yeah, I said that quite quickly, saying you do know what to do. And if I can take a step back, you know what to do in the moment. You can't, um, when you come across a decision and you have some choices to make. I don't necessarily always think there's a wrong choice because there's different paths laid out for us. Whatever path we chose, we're going to step into that. And you're going to get to an outcome at the end. And part of our journey is the journey itself, not the outcome. And when I said you do know what to do, it's exactly that. It's when everything around you gets so chaotic, loud, and you don't know what really is your voice versus the world's voice.
Mm-hmm.
And what you said there, you really have to have a bit of life experience and have a sense of trust that's what's been my guiding principle. When I don't know what to do, I said, I'm going to make a decision and lean into it because it has always worked out. Maybe not in the way ideally I thought it was going to be, maybe not in the way that my expectations were, but it's always worked out in the way that it needs to work out to challenge me, to help me grow, help me learn, and lean into some discomforts on this self discovery journey. And that's part of the healing.
Hmm.
When you choose to make a decision, you're going on a journey and you're stepping into this unknown world. And you have to understand that, and maybe we won't truly understand it until we lean in and are on that path.
That's so well said, in the sense of oftentimes when we're on the journey, we don't totally understand. It's what was me? Why is this happening? Help me understand. And it comes up time and time again. It's a mystery looking forward, but it's science looking back. It always
Mm,
makes sense why it had to happen the way it did. And maybe we justify it and we make sense of it just because we typically align or energy pulls us in some magnetic direction. But in the moment, there is a lot of emotion. There's a lot of feeling like nothing's happening. You're striving to master the mundane, and then seemingly, like you described with the chaos, it all happens at once. And
yep,
with regards to chaos, before I get into the specificity of your story and whatnot, Reet, there's a lot going on in the world right now. When
that
we
it
just
is
It's
true.
all over the place, right? Like between the Epstein stuff, between what's going on with the Charlie Kirk shooting, there's conspiracy theory after conspiracy theory. There's the things coming out from both sides of the political spectrum about 9/11, about vaccines. There's the aftermath of COVID, which was a turning point for you in your life and your well being, and how you decided to kind of flip script with you and your family. With all of this going on, and so many he said, she saids, and people becoming very divisive and angry, what are your thoughts on creating peace and finding a healthy relationship with disagreement and discourse where two people can disagree but still love and respect each other?
It's a great question. I find myself continuously on this path of that because we live in a world really polarized right now. And I think if you come from a heart centered place and listen, I think a lot of people right now just want to be heard, want to feel safe to be themselves in their opinions and thoughts, even if it's completely opposite of mine. And this again comes from a level of experience because there's a lot of my own family that is divided, that are two different like political views. And whether it's vaccine, same thing in COVID, it was divided. It caused a lot of stress. And what helped me was to understand that the other person is sitting in a lot of fear. Just like there's parts of fear in me of all of the uncertainty in the world. And a lot of this is created on fear. Here I think of myself somebody that is open to learning and different views and come from multiple different cultures. I have learned that there's a lot at play in this world right now. And I say that with humility because I think there's a level of they want us to the systems in place want us to fight each other and divide us. And what has worked for me is continuously come and compassion. Show this other person that they're probably chances are feeling what I'm feeling. Well, where there's a lot of uncertainty, it comes with fear. And how to challenge fear is learn as much as I can, make informed decisions for my value system, and honor that the other people have maybe different values.
Yeah,
For me,
I like the way you said that. One of the things that comes up time and time again for me, Reet, is seek to understand. And I love those three words so much. I hold them near and dear to my heart because that allows us to hold space. That allows us to respond and not react. And what I mean by that is if I respond, I'm patiently listening. to the other side. I'm listening not just with my ears, but I'm watching body language. I'm observing tone. I'm trying to take into consideration historical track record, upbringing. I'm actually trying to take in as many variables as I possibly can. And then pairing that with what I call API, assume positive intent. Everybody is trying their fucking best.
Hmm.
And they are trying to operate from a place of safety. And I think that relates to what you said around fear. Does this decision, does this political leader, does this thing that I'm voting for, whatever, does it keep me and my family safe? Based on so many different variables, people form their perspectives. Some of that infiltrated by political propaganda. A lot of that is infiltrated with like the MK Ultra, like mindset tricks. Some of that's infiltrated with the environments that we're in and the people that we choose to spend time with in our tribe. And I think taking all of those things into consideration allows for a better grasp of understanding rather than emotional reaction. And I
Hmm.
think when we start to react, more often than not, you see this, we're spiritual beings having a human experience.
Absolutely.
If you react, now there's like the tone of voice starts to raise, you start to be demeaning and condescending, you start to name call. And we see this time and time again. Like when somebody's actually seeking truth, they remain very calm. Yeah, they might have a personal relationship with the disagreement where they've felt hurt or judged or mistreated in some capacity based on some sort of historical narrative. But there's a word that you said, Reet, that really stood out to me, which is trust. And right now, I don't know that people can trust anything other than I am going to try to control the controllables. I'm going to try to connect with the earth, get grounding, get breath work, eat appropriately as best I can. But even then, people are worried about their food being sprayed, how the meat is being raised, is it injected with vaccines? There's so much distrust, fear, uncertainty, and doubt that inevitably the insides of people are pretty volatile. I mean, this is the most distrusting I've heard in our historical track record. And in my 35 years alive, I've never seen so much distrust of politics, of our healthcare system, of our agricultural system, of space, and our pursuit of seeking edges. And we would think that the answer would be coming together and bouncing ideas off of each other in the podcast space and flexing that one thing that we still really have, which is freedom of speech. But now that we're seeing censorship all over YouTube and social media, now it's becoming very difficult to even play with freedom of speech because you get attacked and stuff for that too. So I'm curious, based on your experience being a mother, being somebody that's been around the block a few times, how are you processing all of this? And even though it might be very difficult for you, how are you filtering all of this chaos for your young daughter?
Oh, great. I'm filtering it as best as I can it's day by day because things are coming at us every single day. And my partner, my husband and I, we sit down and we go over our value system every 3 to 4 months right now in this climate. And we want to make sure that we're aligned. What's important to us? Our health, our relationships, our relationship with ourselves and also our daughter. And how do we want to raise her? So how I filter is right now, there's no YouTube for my kid. And for now, and we negotiate that, but I did let her have it. But what I found is she was just sitting there watching another kid play, opening up packages and being infiltrated with ads. And then she gets off YouTube and she's a total different human. So I was like, for now, let's remove this and she can have screen time on weekends. She's 8 years old. So Monday to Friday, she's outside playing out in the dirt. She's playing, chasing the kids. She's doing what we did when we were kids. And she does her homework. I'm like, if you're bored, I'm right on schedule. I'm doing my job because your activation and your imagination is about to kick in.
Art
So,
can only create when it has space. And when
right.
you're bored, it's like the breeding ground for innovation. If you're never bored, I mean, that's probably what leads to the development of what the world kind of classifies as ADD or ADHD, and it's typically caused by sugar, dopamine addiction, and things like YouTube, TikTok that we've all become accustomed to, and we justify it as if it's the use of our job.
Yep.
But it's actually just like this technological cocaine. That's really
It
scary.
is. You want another hit
Yeah.
because you put a time limit of 30 minutes. No way. She's going to tantrum. She's going to do everything to get another hit of YouTube or another screen time. And we watched it. It was a small period of window where she had a hard time, but immediately, like 2 weeks later, she doesn't know any different. She doesn't ask. She comes home from school. She knows the standard in her family is there's no screens right now. So she has become the most amazing artist. She always has been, but now she leans in and you can see this sense of groundedness.
Mm,
And it's interesting how you said ADHD and all of these, and it's quick. I know, the teachers last year and when she was in grade 2 wanted to kind of diagnose her with something. She's like, well, I don't know. She's not ADHD, but she's maybe deficit. And I said, thank you very much. I'll take your consideration, but I'm going to do my own research. And as Mama Bear, I'm not, I'm going to check all the checks. We check, take her to the doctors, make sure hearing, eyes, sight, all of them, all of the main things are okay. But what the teacher doesn't see is there's this whole other experience this child has had. She went to 23 countries within a year. She's lived through COVID. She's, in her short 7 years at the time, what are we not seeing the whole picture? We
mhm.
want to put labels on children, put them in boxes because why? They're not learning the way that you want them to learn in that box room of a class
I love
that
that you said that. That's
you
really
want them to
powerful.
conform.
Yeah, because it's easier. It makes their
Yeah.
life easier. And they've
Yep.
created this expectation that human beings are linear progression. Here's my curriculum established by my authorities. I want to follow these steps in order to go from A to B to C to D. But Reet, you and I both know humans are complex creatures. They're
Yep.
not linear progression. If it was linear progression, you and I would be lifting 7,000 pounds at this point,
Yeah.
according to that level of, ideological science. What you and I know is just it's bullshit.
Yes.
It's this psychological created thought that is like, hey, we want to better understand and we want things to be associated with metrics because they're then scalable. And when you're
Hmm.
really good at managing numbers and you're really good at marketing manipulation to say that, hey, you're just going to keep progressing forward, follow this path, you're going to get to the top of the mountain. It's like, yeah, maybe, but it doesn't always work that way. Sometimes you need to stop for rest. Sometimes you have an injury. Sometimes there's a lookout. Sometimes you run out of food or water. There's different miscellaneous experiences that take place in pursuit of peak expression.
Hmm.
And I think you navigated it and explained it really well in the sense of she traveled to 23 countries. Not only is she seeing different things, she's eating different things. There's culturally different things. And more importantly, there's an energetic shift. And that's the
Hmm.
thing that doesn't align with our senses. We typically know and we create metrics and understanding based on like tangible things that we can see, feel, taste, touch, all the things. But there's an energetic cord between you and I, even being remote right now,
Yep.
that's not seen or heard, but it's felt. She felt that in 23 places at 7 when she's trying to conceptualize how to just be alive and play.
Yeah.
That's not taken into consideration by the teacher. The teacher's created expectations they weren't in alignment with her expectations when she did a comparative analysis to other people that haven't had the same experience as her. So
Yeah.
they immediately said, black sheep, different. If somebody doesn't fall in line, problem. It's like,
Hmm.
hold on. What if that was really rare? And rather than being an obstacle, it's an opportunity to realize, like, whoa, she's different. This gives me, the instructor and the leader, an opportunity to learn a new skill set to guide this person, not towards conformity, but towards what her desired goal is, or to the thing that is maybe her mountain. Fuck, her mountain might be higher than the other people. It
Yeah.
just
Her
might be a
zone of
different path.
genius.
Totally. And
Yeah.
I think that's what's difficult is we're trying to group, because
Yeah.
grouping is monetary.
Yep.
If you have more people, you're going to make more money. You can impact more people. You can tickle the dopamine effect. You feel successful.
Yeah.
But I think that
Completely.
is where critical thinking comes in, which is, this person isn't off kilter and needs medication, blah, blah, blah. It's like, hey, like, let me understand your story. Like, do you want to spend 10 minutes every day after school where I can listen to kind of what you're going through and what your life experience is? And then, maybe I can better understand and I can curate our curriculum to better fit your needs. I would sleep better at night if I took that approach. I think this
Hmm.
person is in bed like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with this person? The parents must be this. They just want to point the finger and blame.
Yeah.
But in reality, it's like, it's challenging. And if you just kind of tinker with that perspective, like with Allsmith, we always say playful perspective architecture. I'm like,
Hmm.
man, how do we tinker with that perspective to make these kids realize that they're so special, and we don't want life to get a hold of them?
Yeah. That's what I spent most of last year deconstructing this idea that she needed to fit into that class. And I said, you fit in exactly where you are in this world. Mama never raised you to fit in. Mama is raising you to be your unique self. You have a blueprint that no other human does. And you have something to offer and uniquely was created in this universe to be you. And I'm not here to make you conform to what one teacher that's been there for 25 years um, wants you to be. And I honor her. Everything I've raised her to be, she would not conform.
Hmm.
And she went through some serious battles and challenges and tears last year, and as did I. And to advocate for my child was the greatest thing I could do. And I had lots of meetings, and I would put checks in place and saying, okay, I'm going to pick her up. What's happening now? Oh, same thing throughout it's the same thing throughout the whole year till the very end. And it was like the more time went on, the more colorful the stories got. Oh, she stole an eraser. How she should be, and she was shamed for it. And I said, instead of correction, can we not connect? You want to correct every single thing. And I'm not saying it's okay for her to steal the eraser, but can we take a step back and why? What is happening that she's wanting this attention? What is happening that, like, can we connect with this human being having this experience and try to understand instead of putting her in a, literally she wanted to write her off. And I'm like, she's 7 years old. This is her testing the world. This is her experiencing, seeing, okay, how can I push it, or what really happened behind the scenes. So it was a really powerful experience, and I think the whole experience of parenthood is exactly that. It is a
Hmm.
powerful experience to let you heal yourself and your triggers and your wound, because these little kids are mirrors. They're reflecting back the unhealed parts of us,
Hmm.
and we are sent on this journey to be like, okay, I'm going to accept the mission and go deeper and see why I'm triggered. Because it was triggering to see this teacher put my daughter in this box. It was very triggering. And, but I could have pulled her out of the school. I could have changed all these environmental factors. And what I said was, you know what's going to happen? The universe doesn't work like that. I'm going to get the same lesson and I'm going to get it twice as hard. If I don't manage right now and I don't teach my daughter to stay consistent on who she is, people are going to want you to be everything they want you to be.
Well
But
said.
you're here to be you. And even if they don't like you, even if you're going to get in trouble sometimes, I got your back.
I just want to say that and like highlight it for a second. People want you to be what they want you to be. And I feel bad a little bit. Like it doesn't feel good in my inside saying that. But it's so interesting how like people love you when your choices align with their agenda.
Hmm.
Reet, that's so messed up. And
Yeah.
a part of me thinks it's subconscious. Like I don't even think it's purposeful. I think it's like a survival mechanism. But it's like it's typically with schedule. Hey, I want you to do something at this time instead of that time because it works better for my schedule. I don't really care about you and
Hmm.
what you're going through. That doesn't matter. Let me just get what I need to get. How do we change that? Because in my sphere and my conversations with healers, my observation of people that are hurting in the world, and when we do ultimate social events with sauna, ice, fireside chats, indulging in a meal where typically there are dogs and children around,
Hmm.
that's the frustration. It's why do some people view the world from their own lenses and their own lenses only, thinking, how do I love things and use people versus loving
Mm.
people and using things? And I say that like with emphasis because it keeps coming up time and time again, not just politically, not just in our education system with young people. Like what I'm seeing in this relationship with your daughter is this person is like, you know what? I just can't save everybody. I've got 30 other students, and
Yeah.
31 over here is a little bit different. And because of that, I'm just going to assume that they're the problem. It's not
Yep.
me. It's not my unhealed wound. It's not trying to teach me anything. They're the problem because majority rules. And it's like, okay, maybe majority rules ish. But what if we pause for a second and we go, okay, maybe they're not the problem. Maybe I am. Maybe I've
Yeah.
created this story in my head that everything's supposed to be this way. But if we're going to move the needle in the right direction, maybe that's not the case. And I love the famous phrase, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always be what you've always been. Well,
Yeah.
how's that worked out for us so far? We have more debt now. We have more anger. We have more health issues going on in the world. Nobody's open minded anymore. Everybody's angry and pissed off at the world. Mental health is at an all time low with social media and this comparison culture. Everything's expensive.
Yeah.
But even with all that negativity bias that I just word vomited, there's still so much beauty in the world. And that beauty is the magic in a child, the
Hmm.
magic in a dog. Being able to say, you know what? I don't know about the conspiracies with Charlie Kirk right now. Maybe we will eventually, but maybe we just got to take a break from it all and go out and touch some grass, get some
Yeah.
sand in between our toes, go jump in the ocean and realize that, like, yeah, we all have our opinions, but nature's a pretty fucking cool common ground along with movement, along with sunshine. And even in the midst of all this, somewhere in the messy middle is a common ground. And it's
Hmm.
hang out there sometimes. And what I want to ask you, and what's really coming up for me, Reet, is you mentioned, hey, I could have written her off, taken her out of school, and walked away. A lot of people would have done that.
Hmm.
That's what I would epitomize as cancel culture. Oh, those people don't believe what I believe. We're writing them off. Our family and our tribe are not going to interact with them anymore because, they believe this in vaccines or they wear a MAGA hat or whatever the thing is. In my opinion, I'm like, who cares? Why don't we practice the art of loyalty anymore and think, let me better understand. Let's work through this and do exactly what you mentioned, which is, hey, I'm either going to learn this lesson now and it's going to be painful, or I'm going to learn it later and it's going to be doubly as painful.
Yep.
How did you figure out how to really put boots on the ground, roots in the earth, and figure out, hey, we're going to fight for this because this life thing matters. And it's going to be somebody else's survival story or understanding how to get through this too.
Well, I I did. There was this initial reaction. I think it's human nature. I did want to. I told my husband, I'm like, I'm going to rip my daughter out of this school. And then I had to take a step back and I talked to my daughter,
Fight or flight.
fight or flight. And then I talked to my daughter because she knows her internal compass. If I've done anything in the 7 years, is help her to be like, speak your truth, what's happening. And I asked her, would you, with everything going on, would you want mommy to take you out of school and move you to a different school? And she, at all costs, she's like, no, mom, please don't. No. She begged me. And I was like, message received.
If you don't
Because
ask, the
I'm
answer is always no.
right. And my mama told me that too. She's like, you don't ask, you don't get. And it's not always just about getting, but like we are here, humans. We want more experiences. Um, we need more information to evolve. So I went straight to the source. I asked her, I was like, how do you feel? She's like, no, she's not always mean to me. She doesn't always yell at me. And I started to get the whole picture because I wasn't gonna go paint this teacher with this one brush and saying and do the same thing I was feeling she's doing to my child. And my daughter painted a different picture and I said, okay, the way I'm trying to raise my daughter is resilient and informed. Ask questions, even if you think somebody's making you feel it's dumb. I don't care. If you don't get it, ask again. And that's exactly what I did. I put some checks in places. She was started going to homework club after, so I can monitor. Okay, you're getting extra help. You're getting, a little bit of playtime with your friends and a little bit of a little bit more academics. I hired a tutor that I went and researched and that felt more aligned with my philosophy of learning, not being put in a box, but here's a tutor who tutors children on the island here from grade 1 all the way to past high school. And all in one room, the olders tutored the younger ones, and I just loved it. My daughter thrived. It was a little commitment to drive 2, 3 times a week, an hour away but I said, I'm invested. I don't believe in accidents. I seeked this tutor out, and I like his philosophy. And it was actually really powerful for our family and our daughter
I'm
because
curious the word commitment that you just mentioned because that word seems to create transformation. But what I'm seeing right now in the world, and I see this a lot in the fitness space. Hey, Bryce, sorry, I got to cancel my membership because it's inconvenient to drive to you. Okay,
mm,
okay, totally fine. But when I see you in 3 months or I see you at church on Sundays and you're getting worse, like now you're just showing that you're unwilling to make the commitment. And
mhm,
I think what we're seeing is that like parents are like, oh, that's inconvenient. Let me find some sort of AI tutor. Let me find something on a screen that's a subscription model that automates, that fits within my needs so that I can go to the gym or I can go do the thing, which I'm all for life balance. So I'm not criticizing here. I'm just painting the picture of what I'm seeing modern technology kind of play with, just to be clear to our listeners. But convenience leads to compliance. So, like now,
mhm.
people are more often to use the app for the tutor. They're more often to go to the gym when it's closer. They're more often to eat healthy when the food's already in the fridge. Big believer in that. However, you have to pause and weigh and measure, is it working? And if it's not working, then it's like, okay, like this convenient thing feels like a good idea, but it's not reality. Like I'm not losing weight. I'm not improving my grades. I'm not improving my social connections. I'm not thinking more clearly. I'm not critically thinking. How have you been able to weigh and measure and digesting, like, is this working? Because you said she's thriving. She's getting social interaction. She's actively participating. She's learning in alignment with the value system that you and your husband created. Those are huge value adds. But like you said, it's a trek to get there. It's probably expensive. It takes
Mhm.
away from your personal time. You have to rush before and after work to pick her up and drop her off and do all the things. What does commitment mean to you being a mom and a parent? And what advice would you give to other parents to make that commitment to the things that work rather than just to the things that are convenient?
Oh, great question. Commitment. What it means to me is you're going to have some sacrifices. You're going to have to sacrifice the short-term gains, like short-term pleasures, maybe, missing out on events, maybe not being able to come home and put my feet up and relax because I got to drive. But what I saw in my daughter in this collaborative environment, it wasn't about the academics. It was about building social resilience. She was gaining tools and confidence around kids that were younger than her and older than her. And she was engaging and having like this life experience. That's worth every drive, every inconvenience to my schedule, because that's what I'm here to give her. I'm not here to put her into another box, or you have to be like me, or you have to live like my expectations. The commitment I made to being a parent to her, the commitment I made when she came into this life was, I'm your guide. I'm not your owner. I'm not your boss. I'm not here to make you something that you're not. I'm here to guide you through life and provide you with experiences and how to navigate those experiences in a way that is humane, with love and compassion, but also take no bullshit from people that are trying to force you to do something doesn't feel aligned with your values. In a way that is respectful too. We're living in a world of constant, like, I don't like you, cancel, let's cancel her. And I'm trying to raise her to be uncomfortable with comfortable with the uncomfortable,
Mm-hmm.
because you're gonna, no matter what, I could have pulled her out of the school, but it would have happened again. But we both got to grow. I got stretched as a parent. She got stretched as a student and a child and a daughter. We both had some hard conversations and said, "Hey, what are some things that we can do within our control? We can get you more help. We can spend a little bit more one-on-one time at home." And that's the commitment. The commitment to stay curious. The commitment to continuously evolve and not try to just repeat what used to work, because what used to work is not going to work now. I'm not the same mom I was before. Even last year, she's not the same student. So it's constantly staying curious and evolving and learning. And my husband always says it, just got to love to learn. You got to love to learn. You got to continue and stay curious and just stay love to learn, because that's what we're here for.
The Trident family taught me something really important this last year, that we are all a bundle of stories, both good, bad, and everything in between. All of their cold brews remind their customers that they are part of something bigger than themselves. I start my day with the Sweet Cream Cold Brew as I am prepping my mind and body for fitness, service, coaching, and podcasting. With various locations in San Diego, they offer over 14 nitro cold brews and a variety of specialty drinks. You can find the perfect brew and pair it with one of their treats from the Keto Bakery. You can check them out over at tridentcoffee.com and use code ALLSMITH to take your coffee experience to the next level.
Yeah, you said that so perfectly. And it's interesting too, I was thinking about the energy and the flavor of language. And I think as an adult, I do love to learn because
Mm,
It's playful. I see and feel how it unlocks channels of service and
Hmm.
connection and more self-awareness. But as a child, it was like, oh, I have to learn for the test. There was this expectation that created a pressure. And so the word learn actually came in my brain. I'm not saying it's this way for everybody. At least for me, it's like learn, read. You're fear mongering me now. If I don't do this thing and I have to take this test, you're now going to treat me like I'm the scum of the earth if I don't pass whatever your exam is. That doesn't feel good. And
No.
so as a kid, like my mom, God bless her, like she is, I didn't realize it at the time until she was gone, like what a genius she was, because we would sing the multiplication tables. And then what she would do was like, if I read a book, I got 20 minutes of playtime playing hide and seek or capture the flag with the neighbors. And then, like, if the neighbors weren't available and it was just her and I, it was like, all right, I have to answer these 3 questions. And if I get them right, I get 2 basketball shots per question I get right. So I get 6 basketball shots. So she combined this world of play and learning where it felt fun. Like I liked learning with my mom. I
Hmm.
hated learning at school.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is that on paper, I graduated with awesome credentials, all honors. Like, I don't think I even got a B until I was like a junior in high school when basketball became more important in school for me because I was like, oh, that's going to pay for my school. Grades aren't, which then changed the conversation because I watched my brother like crush it in academics. He got some, financial aid and whatnot, but I watched my parents fight to pay for his school. So I'm like,
Hmm.
all right, well, if I get good grades, that doesn't necessarily pay for school. If I can put this ball in a hoop, that's going to pay for school. And then my parents are going to have an easier life. I was like, oh, I'm for sure going to play that game.
Yeah.
And so it's just interesting how kids observe the world. And there's this stigma around the word. I love that your husband says that. Learn to really love learning or always be learning.
Yeah.
But that word learn sometimes comes with a negative bias based on your experience with it. And that's tough because that's not the actual Webster's definition of the word, but it
Hmm.
comes with the tone and how it's used and how it's integrated in your life. And what's interesting for me is that's not how it was integrated in my life at home, but it's how it was integrated in my life in the education system. So it created this unique divisiveness where at home I love to learn. At school, I just wanted to give the middle finger to the teachers and go play.
Yeah.
And I'm curious because it sounds to me that like you're trying to curate a cohesiveness between home and school. And I'm sure you experience that with childcare and babysitters or tutors or things like that too. But they're not you. So it does
No.
create like different energies, different rules, different regulations. How do you do that as a parent, integrating that into the operating system of a young child if there's not consistency in the different environments that they're forced to either learn or play?
You know what? That is the world. We are not going to have consistency everywhere. And I parent my daughter pretty much. She's an only child. So I'm parenting her as I'm parenting myself. I'm learning as I go. And I'm pretty honest with her and say, hey, Mila, in the real, like we're on the real world, but when I say that, I'm talking about you have to go work one day. Your boss is not gonna be okay with you being late. Like mom and dad might be like, okay, we're running late. Your teacher is gonna have certain standards you have to follow in life. And though they may not be what we practice at home, but we do have to follow some guidelines for consistency basis in the world. That doesn't mean you don't have your feelings. That doesn't mean that you can't have your unique sense of self. But we also have to learn how to play this game in this universe. It is a game. We have to learn. You can be sitting in that corner constantly, or you can be participating and finding the fun in it. So whether you have to make your own fund and say, hey, Mila, that's her name, and she's like, let me see if I can do a little bit better on my spelling test next week. And you're not doing that for me, Mila. You're doing that for yourself. And these are really large concepts. And I just try to break them down for her in digestible pieces. I put everything that we're going through and we share it with her because children work really well when they know things. If they hear, I find if she heard me and my husband arguing, you better believe I'm going to sit down and talk to her about it
That's a
because
really interesting point
I'm
because
not going to
it
let her
comes down to,
think.
yeah, that's a really interesting point. And I'm curious how you navigate that because I'm recently married and my wife and I had this beautiful conversation around trust. And we said, you know what's even more beautiful than trust is transparency.
Mm,
Being able to know so that I don't have to worry about you and vice versa. And I think about that in relation to children in the sense of, yeah, you and your husband had a serious conversation. Maybe it was financial, or maybe it was a personal disagreement. Maybe it was the nuance of life, food,
mm,
groceries. Maybe it's navigating the scorecard that inevitably comes up organically between couples that is a tough thing. Hey, I feel like I'm doing more than you. You feel like you're doing more than me. I'm not feeling loved or appreciated or validated. You see that in business too, between business partners. I
mhm,
don't think it's purposeful. It's just like life happens. We're trying to do more here. Somebody's putting more energy there. Inevitably, you just end up on the wrong page. And it takes a little bit of a hard conversation to kind of get back into the same visionary alignment.
mhm,
But transparency is hard because in business, if you're going through a financial hardship, do you want to then put that on your employees? Well, now they're operating in a space of fear, like they're not going to get paid or the business is going to fall out. And they're almost chasing sales and all the things that'll help the business grow, as opposed to having those private conversations, maybe offsite, pressing the pause button, reorienting your energy, and then having a healthy conversation that's growth oriented, empowering, inspiring. Not quite the football locker room rah talk,
mhm,
but is definitely like, painting a picture that's going to depreciate the anxiety of the employee. Infiltrate that now into the family dynamic. Tough conversation with husband, daughter hears it, honest conversation. But there's also, Reet, there's levels to that game. How much do you share?
yeah.
How detailed do you share? And I think that's important too. And like to take that into mind in your life, just to create one more example, the FBI. How much do they share with us? Some of it like creates chaos. You go down the YouTube rabbit hole and there's all kinds of anxiety in the world now and political discourse and challenge and frustration. If they were transparent, would it make it better or would it make it worse?
Mhm,
And that's my question. Like, how do you navigate or weigh and measure that? Like, how transparent, but then you also don't want to lie.
right.
And it's an art for sure.
Definitely. And we have that conversation because she's at this age of testing and lies, little white lies. Oh, did you brush your teeth? And yes, I did, but no, no, really, she didn't. Um, so we are constantly having these conversations, anyways, being like, hey, Mila, transparency and being honest is important because it's all of these little crumbs that add up to this path that take you of your life. And we use those at her level. And in our case, we've given her this incredible experience of she's moved two massive moves in her 8 years of life from, Toronto to Vancouver, Vancouver to Oahu, traveled across the country, around the world in a year. So she is a product of her upbringing and her experiences. So we do and can be a little bit more transparent with her because she has these really wild questions that throw us off as a parent. You don't expect your child to be like, my father's passed away, and she out of nowhere she'll be like, do you think he would have liked me? Do you think, you know, so you're constantly navigating so many unknowns that these children are thinking about. Whether we like it or not, there's things that are going on in their head they're thinking about. I'm just providing an opportunity to be transparent as a parent, saying, you can come to us with that any question. We're going to answer it as best as we can with the information that we have. And navigate that as a parent and make sure it's at a level where it's not inducing more anxiety, more fear, but informed. And she can walk away being like, okay, okay, does that answer your question? Sometimes I ask her that, and she might have another question. They're curious humans, kids, right? We all are. So for transparency's sake, you do have to follow some guidelines. Like if you're an employer with your employees, is it wise that to tell them like we have 6 months worth of reserve, that's it, we're done? Probably not, no. But let's appeal to their their value system. Hey, we want to keep this business running. We want to do our best. Um, we are in a little bit of struggles, but the whole plan is we're looking for investors. We are looking at plan A, B, and C so we can secure as much safety as we can, but there's a lot of things that are out of our control. And I'm a transparent with that with my daughter too in parenting world, and saying, hey, we this is all we know, and the rest we are figuring it out as we go.
Mm-hmm. It sounds to me that our children are not only our greatest gifts, but they're also our greatest teachers.
Yep.
The other thing
Truly.
that comes to mind there is, I want to make sure I'm careful with my words here. I think children are teaching us so much, but they don't even realize how much they're teaching us by simply being. And every season of life, it seems like life is upgrading so fast. And I think some of the challenges we see with tech, we can kind of filter them because we had experience before this level of innovative tech was like tangible to our day-to-day use, like having a pocket computer at all times.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you and I can remember using a typewriter back in the day.
Yep.
Dial up, AOL Instant Messenger, freaking Napster and LimeWire, and screwing up our desktops. TVs and computers were so heavy, you needed like 2 or 3 people to carry them. Now we have this device in our pocket that, like, from the ideological standpoint, sounds like so cool. Like, oh my gosh, like I wish I had this. I would have been so much more comfortable studying late night, being able to look at my phone or have a laptop than having to sit at that desktop or read the freaking, I mean, we had the 1980 encyclopedia at my house that I was flipping through. And it's like really interesting because there's so many positives that come with it, but then you also have to play the other side. And there's a reason why we have the yin and the yang.
Mm-hmm.
And children really show that, like, twofold. It becomes so obvious, like, whoa, she's learning so much. She's got this, that, and the other. But just like you described with YouTube, she comes out the other side and you're like, who? This isn't my daughter.
Mm-mm.
And it's like, okay, is the information and the technological component upgrading our operating system, or does it completely go against the grain biologically with how we're wired? I mean, I drive through neighborhoods all the time now, and I don't see kids playing outside. My parents would like kick us out of the house. Get off the video games, go play, go ride your bike, scrape up your knees, climb fences, throw balls, ride your bike, your skateboard, go kick the soccer ball with the neighbors, throw a ball. Don't get in too much trouble, but get into a little bit, and I'll see you at dinner.
Yeah.
And it's like I came home with dirt under my fingernails. I had holes in my clothes. Like, we didn't have a lot of money, so it's like once or twice a year we got a pair of shoes that were used for everything
Yeah.
at Payless. And like, we got to spend a little bit of money once a year on like the preschool shopping, whatever, between me and my brother. We had a budget that we had to like mathematically make it work between school supplies and a couple shirts or maybe some socks or some underwear, whatever. That's not like thrown into the calculator anymore for these young kids. Like, oh, you need something? Let's grab it on Amazon. Even though we can't afford it, it's automated, it's easy, it'll be here tomorrow.
Yeah.
And it's this instant thing that makes time and space feel like Disney, like magic, but it's also unrealistic because you develop entitlement around press a button, receive the thing. And because of this just using of credit or using of digital currency, like, people aren't feeling the tangible, oh, when I did that thing for an hour of yard work, I got paid this much money. And like, now service actually has meaning. It has value, as opposed to being this numerical thing that lives in this cloud. I don't know
Mhm.
if I'm describing this appropriately, but I'm trying to like make people understand like the variance in generations.
Yep.
And the
No,
baby boomer
beautifully.
and millennial generation maybe has a little bit more of like a, I can feel it. I'm touching the ground. And then over here it's like I sense it. I know it exists, but it's different. It's like a holographic ideation in the mind that, to go back to something that's been consistent in our conversation, is values.
Yeah.
You don't value it as much when you can't feel it.
Hmm.
And I'm trying to figure out how we teach the younger generation how to create value in comparison to entitlement.
Well, that's powerful, and something I share in our between my husband and I, we kind of preach that service is the currency of the universe.
Beautiful.
Service is the currency of the universe. And if we're not being of service, then everything is about me, the I, me. And we are important. I'm a firm believer, self-care, taking care, but we are me as one person. My daughter has said, I'm not the end all or the be all. I'm an important part. We are all playing an important part, but zoom out to the universe, like from space. Nope, you can't see Bryce. You can't see Reet. Our energy exists, but to value, think of everybody. What's the impact we're going to leave on this earth? What's the impact you create every day? And when you can take it to where you are in your home with your body, and we start like that way. We start with your body, then in our home, then in our community, then in our city, our island, and out and out and out. And
It's the
trying to
ripple
kind
effect.
of the ripple effect. And it matters. The ripple effect is real because what I do, and if I can change how I impacted one person's life today, and they go and impact their partner and their children, and they go and impact their school. So the ripple is real. And that's like, we really hone in on our values. And that's why I said at the beginning, my husband and I, if not every quarterly, every 6 months, we go back in our journals and we both sat down. Several years ago, we love working with coaches at different, you have to, you know, love to learn and surround yourself with people that align with your philosophy that you want to learn from. And our coach and our mentor said, every 6 months, you two align your values. We both sat down, wrote our values, and then as parents, we came together and combined our value systems so we have our family values.
Mm-hmm.
Because How do you raise a human? And this happens a lot. I have my set of values. My husband, we raised completely different with different cultures. We're an interracial marriage. And, you know, all of these factors coming in. And if we're not communicating and aligning our values and say, going forward, this is how we want to raise our daughter and instill in her, how does that happen? It doesn't. YouTube raises your child. Your teacher, you're putting that on everybody else. And you're kind of outsourcing the responsibility of your life for you. And I don't want to outsource that. I think that is our inner, that's like our power, our
Yeah,
values and
I like that a
living.
lot. I like that a lot. Outsourcing your parenting to the convenience of technology, in my opinion, is what leads to the disconnection later.
Absolutely. And outsourcing your parenting to the pharmaceuticals. It's very easy for another parent had told me last year. She's like, I'll give you the number of this best clinic in New York. They'll test her for everything and they'll put a formula like, and for a second I was like, um, oh my God, maybe I need to fix her until I gave my head a shake because we are in a world that you kind of have to question what's coming at you and you want a quick fix because you want to help your child so badly, but it's not the quick fix that's going to help her. It's been teaching her how to know herself, know, and I teach her feel it to heal it, and the issues are in our tissues.
Can you say that again?
You got to feel it to heal it, and the issues are in our tissues. So
Mm.
the whole body keeps the score. Everything is there. We're bringing things into this world from my. She's carrying my trauma, my mother's, my ancestral, and we are here to do the work. That's that's part of our mission. That's what we came here to do, and heal ourselves and evolve and
And
grow.
what are your thoughts there? Like I love what you just said. Like that literally gave me goosebumps and like got me fired up in our conversation for sure. But feeling you can't see.
Mm.
And it takes a certain upbringing, a certain life experience to play in that realm. It feels or sounds woo woo to some
Yeah.
people, and they go, "Oh, that's not science. Why should I trust that?" I think modern day people are starting to like clear out their lenses and realize like, whoa, like big pharma has a lot to do with science. You can manipulate studies, grants and things are moved around with an agenda. Maybe I have a bias because I'm a part of the system and I want these things to work out because it gives me a job and it's what I
Hmm.
went to school for. And I don't want to backtrack and go all the way to the point where I have to start all over. And it depreciates my anxiety, my self worth, my fulfillment, the time, energy, and everything that I put into this. But let's be very clear, we know very little about the human body.
Yeah.
Like we're sitting here trying to say we know, but it's like billions, if not trillions of dollars has gone towards cancer research. And all I've seen is more chemo and more radiation. But then I see
I,
other people over here and they're like, hey, like, cheaper drugs like ivermectin and connecting with sunlight and fasting, integrating some of these naturopathic protocols can actually lead to depreciation of things like parasites and minimizing the sizes of tumors. But all of a sudden there's this pushback of like, oh, you're not a credible source. Well, what is a credible source? A credible source spent money, went to an institution where they learned some things, they were brainwashed a little bit, and then on the other side they were told to trust these books and trust this knowledge, trust this education, the opinions of quote unquote experts. Then you pause and you look at like, if you really want to get into it, most of our textbooks were written by McGraw.
hmm
Well, who owned McGraw? Robert Maxwell. Well, now he's tied to Israeli intelligence. Okay, now you pause and you're like, okay, if I tell you a story and you tell Tana a story, and you tell somebody else a story, like the story is eventually going to change a little bit based on how it's articulated. I'm thinking to myself now, like, okay, like the phrasing trust the science has completely ruined its credibility to me,
oh yeah, me too.
mostly because it's like, okay, that's a perspective. The science, the data, the knowledge has been manipulated in some capacity. It tells us something that should be a variable. It should be taken into consideration, but it's not everything. It's a perspective from somebody that has an agenda and wants us to think a certain way that gives them a return on investment monetarily and then allows power. So then I'm sitting with it and I'm like, okay, I'll take that into consideration. I'm not going to write it off. They spend more time in certain spaces than I do. So I'm like, okay, they clearly are on to maybe something. But I think that's the thing right there. It's most people are like, oh, you're wrong. You're on the left or you're on the right. And it's this whole labeling. You and I both know that like labels are also a made up construct.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I was a professional basketball player. Guess what? Right now, nobody cares. All that means is that I put time and energy into something that had meaning. And now it's like, what are the transferable skills from the thing that you did for a long time? And how does it positively impact the world and those around you? And there's something to this labeling system and this scaling system and this pharmaceutical system and the textbook system. It's the word system.
Yeah.
Every bit of me like gets frustrated with myself sometimes because I'm like, oh, I should be more structured. I should have a system. And then I meet with somebody and I'm like, no way. This person is so different than anybody I've ever met before. They need a customized approach. I need to listen. I need to seek to understand. I need to meet them. But then like from a sales and a marketing standpoint, like sometimes it doesn't land. It sounds like I'm speaking in the clouds because it's not tangible of like, hey, if you do this protocol and you do this thing, you're going to get this. And I'm the expert because I went to school for this and I have this resume.
Yeah.
But it's marketing bullshit that you and I both know is really blasphemy and lies.
Yep.
But it lands in our sphere of this world, and it's only taking off more through clickbait. Like people like looking at Charlie Kirk, people only watch the clips, and those clips can be maneuvered for the right or they can be maneuvered for the left. But if you actually watch the total context, you better understand, oh, okay, that's what he meant by that really outrageous first statement. Now he trickled it down and digested it a little bit, so I better understand over here. And he said it in a way that was very calm, clear, logical, and understandable. It wasn't coming from a place of hate. It was coming from a place of like, here's what I'm seeing, and here's how I think it relates to the true actionables that I think Jesus tried to live with because he is a Christian man and was trying to, relate this concept of live radical like Jesus. And what's interesting is like some people will be like, oh, this is a wellness podcast. It's a human podcast.
Absolutely.
And all of these things come back to whether it's a title, whether it's a job, whether you're this age, whether you're that age. The goal is to be more human. And I think that's a huge part of our context today. Like you've mentioned, you and your husband are still learning. You're establishing value systems that you do upgrades on. Just like an iPhone upgrades, it's not like, oh my gosh, you changed your opinion on the iPhone. It's like, no, you and your husband are learning consistently. What you thought maybe 3 months ago might upgrade, and then the value systems upgrade, then how you choose to live upgrades, and then it changes your parenting style maybe a little bit. And I think constantly realizing that we are all human. We're not this and we're not that. It's not that simple, but the mind wants it to be. Politics wants it to be. The healthcare system wants it to be. The education system wants it to be. And I think systems can be phenomenal because they're repeatable and they give you boundaries and they allow you to hold the standard like you've discussed. But they're also like not everything.
No.
And I think they weigh way too much in the headspace of people that are just trying to win capitalism.
Absolutely. I agree. And something that kept coming up for me while you were talking is, where do we place vulnerability and authenticity in those systems? Because, we can market, we can go after all of these different scenarios, to get more following. But I find the truest form and the people that I'm meant to serve, and that I do touch their lives, is when I'm being my most raw, vulnerable, and authentic self. And that doesn't meet the algorithm. That doesn't always, follow the system. That's like it's like a blip in the system.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm married to an engineer, so he's all about systems, and we have these very interesting conversations and saying that's great, like I love that you can put that system, and I'm so not a systems. I don't want to say I'm not, but I don't dance that dance. I
Mm-hmm.
show up and I create a new system for where I'm at. There was no system when we moved to this island for us. We had never lived on an island before. I was like, okay, we're going to figure it out. There was no system, having a daughter, um, that we knew the answers or what was going to come up for us. And there literally, in this world we live on, with the politics the way it is, with continuous decision making for this child that we have, we spoke on vaccines. There's a constant conversation. Oh, you can't be in the school if you're not vaccinated, or we're constantly having to be vulnerable and say, hey, I changed my mind. Maybe when she was born, I was in a different system, and I kind of believed and was uninformed. I believed my doctors and I did it. As time has gone, our values and our have pivoted and changed. And no, I don't want my daughter to get all the vaccines that you think she has to get every few years.
And real quickly to add to that, that doesn't make you an anti-vaxxer.
No.
There was this conversation with Rogan and Brian Callahan the other day, and the topic of vaccines came up, and Brian Callahan got condescending to Rogan. He goes, "Oh, Joe Rogan, the scientist, you know everything, anti-vaxxer, this, that, and the other." And he goes, "Don't do that to me. Like, I didn't know what I didn't know. My children are vaccinated, and knowing what I know now with aluminum, with the toxicity, I would
Formaldehyde.
formaldehyde, I would spread them out a little bit, and I would continually try to educate and research these things, because we're painted this narrative. You believe that you have to do these things to keep your child above ground.
Yeah.
But what's so odd to me, this is so odd to me. Hey, introduce one food at a time because we don't know how they're going to react. Okay, fine. It's almost like an adult elimination diet, right?
Yep.
But then you're going to put 85, somewhere close to that, different toxins in their body before the age of 1.
Yeah.
It doesn't conceptually make sense to me. I am not an anti-vaxxer. I am not a doctor. I'm not giving advice right now. But somewhere there, the human logic in me goes, this is fucked.
Yep.
Without knowing another word to say there.
Yep.
It's just like, I don't really agree with that. And I don't also agree. Like, I think anxiety and depression are symptoms, not diagnoses.
Yeah.
I think those things come based on traumatic experiences, environment. Like, I've been depressed before. I was in the wrong environment, and I just lost my parents to terminal cancer. And it's like, okay, I put the right healing processes in place to kind of overcome that adversity, and I'm in a better place now. Does that mean I'm clinically depressed and I have this chemical imbalance in my head and I should be on Xanax and all these different medications? No. It doesn't mean we just like fix the problem then and there. It's like, just wait. Let's make lifestyle adjustments first. Then we can decide if that Western medicine approach is necessary, because I'm a big believer in not this comparative analysis or balance of one weighing more than the other. I just think that our system is set up to create this false narrative that reactive medicine weighs more. Hey, we have to have this health insurance model. we're going to follow the Rockefeller model, and we're going to put all these different types of vaccines and medications and things in place that can fix your problem now. It's immediate gratification, solves it, puts a picture over the hole in the wall. We're never going to really fix it because a healthy patient is not a paying patient. And this narrative that we've created that you have to have health insurance or we get penalized on our taxes is going to create fear. So you have to do it. You have to play within the system. Now we've got you. You're part of the matrix. And then you've got this other side over here that's like, well, yeah, those things could be really beneficial in the case of a huge emergency, a really bad accident. There's really smart doctors. There's really great people over here too. But what if I optimize 8 hours of sleep? I get natural sunlight. I eat real food, preferably food that's not sprayed with a peel from Bill Gates or vaccines put into my meat, or closer to regenerative agriculture, which I know they have out in Hawaii, more easily accessible than in the States. And it's just like, if you live close to primal living, and you move frequently, and you exercise, and you hike, and you have great relationships, and you practice something close to primal living, the 9 ancestral tenets, you eat close to a paleo lifestyle, you just pay attention to the different ingredients you're using for your skincare, your fragrances, your toothpaste, the candles and things in your house, and your laundry detergent. You just kind of pay attention to those things. I'm not saying you have to be perfect. It's very difficult.
Yeah.
It's like, that's preventative medicine. Then you've got reactive medicine. And the answer can be in the middle. But
Absolutely.
when you're looking to monetize right now, it's like this one over here gains all the credibility around, like, this is backed by science, like this is naturopathic BS. Nobody follows that. You're woo-woo, this, that, and the other. It's like, well, has this really been researched? Like, for years, like the woo-woo people and Rogan talked about, it's like weed. It was a plant-based thing. And it's like, okay, I'm not saying weed's good. I'm sure it has its issues with it, but so does alcohol. But
Yes.
alcohol is science-based and it's approved by the government. It's legal. And it's like, is it legal because it's better for you or because it can be taxed?
Right.
And it's like, let's just have an honest conversation. I'm not playing a political side here. I'm just noticing what's going on in the world. And one's like better than the other and monetized and more well respected. And maybe the credentials to pursue being a doctor and a nurse and a PA and all these things over here are very difficult. But are they credentials, or is it subtle brainwashing to make you buy into the system of, you're going to get paid well, you're going to have a long career, you're going to have health insurance? It's almost like this beautiful dangled carrot that's like, this is the best carrot in the world, chase it for the next 40 years. Versus over here, it's like, you're constantly scraping the ground to try to make it by. You're disrespected. It's not as difficult to get their credentials. Anybody can really kind of figure out how to be a coach, a trainer, or an entrepreneur. But then you look at like the best of the best and the elites. Most of them are college dropouts. Most of them really don't believe with the agenda that they're pushing forward, but yet they do it because they know it's a systemic, scalable, monetizable thing that allows them to keep putting food on the table for their family and generations to come. And I think when you paint this picture, it's just like, let's remove the political bias here and just like put all the shit on the table, and let's figure out what actually makes sense, because it's not making sense to me.
No, it doesn't make sense to me either. And raising a little human and being a woman of an age where I'm post-menopause. I'm one of those special treats where my body hit menopause a year after my daughter at 38. And the medical system between Canada and the US and around the world has given me everything from my doctor telling me my naturopath is bogus, and literally to my face, and made me feel like I was crazy. I already felt like it, being in this uncertain world where there's no research done on our bodies. The amount of research for menopausal women is done on male bodies, and there's just like so little of it.
Women are treated like smaller men, and it's crap, number one. And number two, that's like the epitome of saying like nature isn't healing. Why is it
Yeah,
when I go camping for 7 days, I come back and I feel awesome? My
yeah,
digestion is great. My mental clarity is great. I'm thinking well. I'm innovative. I feel great as far as like my air quality, my sleep. My natural circadian rhythm is back. I'm away from screens. Like, I think that's just so wild to me for anybody to be like, hey, that's bogus. It's like, hold on. That's been around significantly longer
yeah,
than Western medicine. Western medicine just happens to get a ton of money and research thrown at it. And I'm not saying Western medicine is bad. I'm just saying it's newer. And
yeah.
there's no guarantee that the funding that's going to Western medicine is going to lead to fucking anything.
No,
It just means we're in pursuit and we're exploring and we're doing all these experiments. But if you say science, research, doctor, or according to this university in any sort of magazine or journal, publication, or article, it gains reputability. Oh,
yeah,
that must mean something on a Facebook post. If I
yeah,
saw that according to this doctor, I got to trust it, not knowing that that doctor has an agenda and is
yeah,
$100,000, if not more, in debt. And if they're told to say this thing, they're going to get paid off so they can pay off their debt and enhance the quality of their life. If you have incentive, you can predict behavior. It's very
yeah,
simple.
yeah. Absolutely. That's beautifully said right there. And they have incentives. They have big pharma company, sponsoring their clinics, and they have incentives to sell more vaccines, more meds, more all of the big pharma side. And I'm not against. I think there's a time and a place. I take a very east meets west approach in my
So
life.
do I.
I go east first because I want to do as much holistic, go to the ground, get to the root cause first. I'm not treating a symptom. I want to know what's the root of the root. Let's go there. And then there's a time and a place. If in my life there has been times where mental health and suicidal was happening. I have a small child, and I went for help, and my daughter was 2. I'm hit menopause, and I'm feeling like I'm absolutely batshit crazy, and my body's doing things that nobody has answers. My doctor tells me, well, your guess is as good as mine if it'll come back. I was like, let's not guess. I mean, I'm not asking you to be God, but you're a gynecologist, you're telling me a diagnosis, but then you give me nothing. So I went and showed up at emergency and said, "Hey, I think I'm freaking feeling like going crazy. Can you get this site to give me a little evaluation on my own accord?" Called my husband saying, "Hey, pick up our daughter from daycare. I'm checking myself in." And their doctor came. He was at the end of his shift. He's like, "Oh yeah, no, I think it's just situational." Sent me off with the antipsychotic and send me off on my way.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never forget it. Like that, I was like, it's like an awakening. I took one pill that he had given me, and I was like, if this is what a large population it feels like, no wonder like where we are. Like I was a trip of a lifetime. Like I for 3 days I felt sketched out and messed up from one
Mm-hmm.
pill.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just one pill. These are people are dosed like morning and night. Keep them medicated, keep them sedated, keep them feeling not asking questions. If like it was a powerful moment in my life where I was like, no. I flushed I flushed it all down the toilet, and I was like, no freaking way. I couldn't even take my care of my daughter,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm supposed to function. It's really time for questioning the norm and the narrative and why things are done the
It's
way
a
they're done.
reevaluation. I think having Western medicine available should be last resort because I
Yeah.
think it can be immediate return. It's almost like back in the day investing in Bitcoin where it's like, oh my gosh, I got this huge return today. And then the next day it's like bankrupt. Like it's huge return, but it's also huge risk.
Yeah.
So should it exist? Yes. Should it be as monetarily expensive? I mean, you and I both know hydration is very important. An
Yeah.
IV bag at a hospital should not cost as much as it does. Everything is price marked up so that they can build the insurance systems. It's like literally to the point where it's incomprehensible how expensive some of these things are marked up. But the narrative is painted so fascinating in the sense of like, I work in the wellness space just like you. You have group coaching and you also have one-on-one coaching. If somebody walks in, for example, you walked in, you're navigating hormonal changes, premenopause, just had a daughter, COVID pandemic, there's a lot going on.
Mm-hmm.
They're rushing you. Tell me how you feel. Fill out this questionnaire. We're going to use this information to put it in your record. Now you're fearful that it's going to be weaponized against you in some capacity because that record now is going to go into your health insurance. They're going to decide later on your premium. So now are you actually answering honestly? Or are you answering feeling like somebody is looking over your shoulder?
Mm-hmm.
Then in conjunction with that, you meet with the doctor for 7 minutes because it's the end of his shift. He needs to see so many patients a day. He or she. I don't even blame the doctor because they get involved in a system.
Yep.
And I'm not sitting here trying to make and say that all systems are bad, but systems should be replaced with the word framework. Hey, we have this framework. I'm going to stay a little bit later and the hospital's going to need to pay me overtime because Reet needs more time and attention right now outside of the boundaries of 7 to 10 minutes per patient. The hospital owner is going to need to pay more and realize that true patient care costs money, but it's money spent in the right place as opposed to just, hey, you have this thing, let me bill this thing, your insurance going to pay it. That's now just like excreting or trying to just like squeeze juice out of the pharmaceutical orange. You're not actually, it's not patient care, it's sick care.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds cliche, but like for those of you listening, like think about that. You have this problem, let me fix it, take this pill. Okay, it sort of fixes the problem temporarily, but it really just gives you an altered state of consciousness. And that's in the short term. Long term, now it's unlocked all of these other problems. So then if I relate that to the stock market, okay, you look at risk and reward. We look at that with our time. We look at that with our money. We look at that with our energy. If we're going to spend time, energy, attention, and money in an arena, we want a reward. Am I wrong?
No.
But you don't want the reward with the risk. You're trying to minimize your risk tolerance.
Mm-hmm.
And if you risk big, you can win big. But also, it's also nice to know, especially with naturopathic medicine, okay, I might not get this huge thing of relief right now, but this symptom didn't come just overnight.
No.
This symptom has been kind of whispering to me over the course of time. And it was just the straw that broke the camel's back that was like, you know what, I need this Western medicine approach. And that's where I think they can work together.
Completely.
Hey, Reet, here's a 3-day dosage of this thing. I don't want you using this because A, it's very expensive, and B, it has a lot of toxicity. Here is a lifestyle protocol that I think can help with your needs. Maybe we consult with a naturopathic doctor and we do a hormone or a blood panel to see where your progesterone is, where's your testosterone, where's your estrogen. Maybe we need to integrate some sort of naturopathic protocol that gives you a long-term return on investment. But in the short term, to help manage these symptoms, get you out of this hole and kind of put a rope down to help you kind of climb out where I can help you up and give you this big hug. I want to see you as a human because I love and care about you as your doctor. I want to see you be the best mom, the best wife, and the best coach you can possibly be. Here's 3 days. If you only need it for a day or two, cool. But I'd rather you have it and not need it than need it and not have it. But at the conclusion of this, here's a protocol that I think is going to set you up for long-term success. And that way you're also not having to pay a premium to your insurance. You're not having to put this toxicity or these things that can lead to addiction later on in the opioid crisis. I want to be upfront and honest with you that like there is a place that my form of care can align with this form of care and we can work together to get you to a place of optimism. That to me is beautiful patient care.
Yeah. That's an overall holistic, full looking at the full picture and saying, I'm going to give you some temporary relief to pull you up, but here's the long term plan that we're not just enabling you, sending you off with a pill and deal with it and you're close your file and filed you away. They actually
And
care.
yes, and the difficulty there is it doesn't align with incentive because then the conversation is, Reed, I'm so sorry, your health insurance covers, these 3 pills that I'm providing. I know you paid your copay and that covers your visit for today. But here's a naturopathic friend that I recommend. And if you don't have a health savings account or an HSA, this is going to be out of pocket care. And now you're looking at potentially thousands of dollars because insurance companies don't cover naturopathic care. And now you go home and you have this conversation with your husband. Hey, I'm feeling this kind of way. I'm having a hard time navigating the peaks and valleys of the human experience right now. I don't want this to jeopardize our marriage or my business or our daughter. How do you think we can navigate this? And some people are like, you know what? Health is wealth. Take the leap. We'll put it on a credit card right now. We'll pay it off over the course of time because I love and care about you and we've planned for these experiences. Other people are, we simply can't afford that right now.
Yeah.
Like you're going to have to suck it up. And, some people have the knowledge and the experience to like co-pilot their partner's journey and hold them and do all the naturopathic healing and maybe get the right supplements to try to do things naturally. And they read blogs and podcasts. But then some people are left SOL, shit out of luck.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, how do we, Brigham Bueller talks about this a lot, big fan of his. I know RFK is trying to do some stuff, but how do we create a shift in this insurance model where, I don't know, maybe we look at a lump sum of like some sort of generalized health care that is appropriate for individuals based on their health biomarkers. Hey, if you train consistently, your body weight is this, your muscle mass is this. I mean, use DEXA scans, use different things as protocols. And then based on that, it can unlock some sort of financial system that grants you the ability to be like, hey, you have access to this much money. I mean, I know myself, I don't ever go to the Western medicine doctor. I only go to my naturopath.
Yeah.
But I like knowing that this doctor exists in the case of something terrifying that happened. And I want to make sure that, that I very much love and respect them. I'm an integral part of our system currently. And I want to make sure, like, if there's a car accident or something, like, hey, that we can use those services. And
Yeah.
I want to contribute to those services as well. I don't just want to take. But I want to find a balance there where the return on investment is greater than the risk.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the key. How do we get to a place where we can provide that?
Mm-hmm.
For our children, for the women, and for our partners, our husbands, and our families, our aging parents, where the quality of life for me has always been the holistic um like more w- Eastern medicine has worked well for me long term. It's not a quick fix, and the insurance system does not support that.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a very expensive um, road to go down. And it's a conversation constantly having, investing in yourself. And for me, I'm the best investment. That's easy said than done. It's easier said than done when you're looking at your bank account and being like, oh crap, I'm like 15, $20,000 every year out of our family money goes to healthcare, that's going to acupuncture, that's going to Chinese medicine, that's going to naturopathic, that's going to osteopathy. But that's our number one value I'll go back to the values. In our family, health is our wealth.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter goes to osteopathy, since she was in utero, like that's just what I believe so strongly. If our nervous system is aligned and we get alignments and adjustments, it helps with so much more focus and everything else in our life. And how do we get the insurance companies, the system in place that is really, really, we pay into, but the investment is not really invested in us?
Yeah. There's a little bit more to unpack here. The first thing that's coming to mind, Reet, is that the big paradox that you mentioned is it's not the quick fix.
No.
People want fast. They want the Uber Eats model. They want the convenient delivered to the doorstep. I don't have to leave. I don't have to put in time and energy. I mean, the number one drug on the market right now is what? Ozempic.
Mm.
And it's like, okay, maybe it could be used the right way potentially. But why is that peptide really advertised and pushed? I mean, I was just watching football the other day and it was like every other commercial was Ozempic. And they're talking about these weight loss journeys and all the things. And maybe somewhere in the small print is the digestive issues, the decrease in bone density, the fact that there's a $2 trillion lawsuit right now around people going blind. I've never seen a lawsuit for that much. Maybe it's 2 billion. Maybe I'm misspeaking here, but it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's not talked about on the commercial, but it's the quick fix. But anything that's really valuable in life typically takes blood, sweat, and tears to get there. And that's when you really value it. I mean, a relationship that is just as easy all the time, you end up taking it for granted. I mean, humans are conditioned to believe or feel that the grass is greener on the other side. But if you're earning it and you're sharpening that sword, you're putting roots in the ground, now you know when that storm comes that you're not going to get blown over or topple over. You're going to be strong.
Mm-hmm.
But the things that are easy topple over relatively quickly.
Yep.
And that to me is the analogy of Ozempic. Like, not is it just getting people the results and is it monetizable, but like, let's just be honest. Let's call a spade a spade. Let's put it all on the table. Ozempic is a peptide.
Mm-hmm.
So is tesamorelin. So is BPC 157. So is CJC 1295. Things that can naturally stimulate not only healing and tissue repair, being in the form of BPC 157, but the other two peptides stimulating the pituitary gland to release natural human growth hormone. So now you're not having to take synthetic versions of HGH. You're not having to take synthetic versions of testosterone. You can actually have a lower risk, cheaper, more affordable way to enhance the quality of people's lives. But the FDA now wants to come in and say, oh, these peptides don't have legalities and research. There's no clinical data. It's like, yeah, but the clinical data that you have on the things that are currently in the market isn't safe. And you're finding ways between the NIH and the World Health Organization and Fauci and all these different people to like take that data and hide it because it mitigates profit. And so when you're looking at this unique paradox, people want the quick fix because it solves the problem quickly and they want to throw money at the thing they can get now. Something that I want to jump into with you is a lot of our conversation right now is really been about, you know, the challenges with the system, the challenges you've experienced being a parent. But I want to go back into the formation of these values that you and your husband really set forth as far as just pillars, not only in your relationship, but how you choose to view and serve and interact with the world. Where did those values formulate from? Was it from upbringing? Is it from depth of connection between the two of you guys? And also, what are those values? Free is the way to be. Life beats us up a bit and causes some bumps and bruises, but that doesn't mean we have to stay on the sidelines. This is why we've partnered with Kinyan Labs. Get back to doing what you love with this incredible portable device designed to get you back in the game. Kinyan is on a mission to move people from pain to possible with their top-rated red light therapy and laser solution, which tackles inflammation along with muscle and joint pain quickly and effectively. What I love is that it's portable and rechargeable, making it easy to actually incorporate into my everyday life consistently. It's small and lightweight, so you can throw it in your gym bag or work bag or even an overnighter. Kinyan's lasers and LED combo make this cutting-edge device extremely versatile,
for use with general aches and pains, as well as chronic back pain, arthritis, post-surgery recovery, endometriosis, and more. This has been an amazing tool keeping my elbows and knees pain-free for pressing, pulling, and squatting in the gym. Great tools like the Move Plus give me the freedom and flexibility to continue living life on my terms without limitations. There are a lot of reasons why over 15,000 people are using this device and rating it 4.7 stars and above. Head on over to Kinneon.io and use code ALLSMITH at checkout to begin your pain-free journey.
Great question. I think we both came into we've been together 18 years. We've seen a thing or two around the
Yep.
world, and I think we both had our own systems, like our own values. Coming in, we always do. I came from being raised I was born a Sikh, then I raised Hindu, converted to Baptist, left that world, and kind of pursued a spiritual journey
What's a
on my own.
Sikh?
And Sikh is where Sikh is from Punjab. Is we wear the
Okay.
turbans, and it is more we have like we worship some
Mm.
gurus, right? And I don't practice. It's more of my culture, but I've never been a practicing Sikh. I'm still learning about that side of my
And then you
culture.
transition to
And
Hindu after that.
my stepmom was Hindu, so she raised us for a short while
And what did that
Hindu.
look like?
And I actually resonate more with Hindu still to this day and than Sikhism, because to me we had rituals. She would set up. She had an altar. She would pray. She would make an offering and light incense, and just every single day it felt like a moment to connect with herself and to source.
Mm.
And there's a lot of different gods in Hinduism and idols, and um I think they're archetypes. They're basically all of our different identities. To That's what I resonate with. And then very abruptly she met some Baptist Christians, and they invited her to church, and next thing you know, we're converted and we're all being baptized, and we're fundamental Baptists for a decade of my life. So that instilled a lot of different upbringing in the Western world and conditioning. And I think every one of those religions, the common theme in religion is be a kind human, be a good human, do unto others as you want done unto you. Um, don't lie, don't steal, leave this place a better place than you found it. I think compassion was something that I took personally through out of all of those religions and um, theories, I call them. When I met my husband, he had very little religious upbringing. He's like, my parents kind of they took me to church, sometimes to Sunday school, and they left it up to me. They left it up to me to see if I wanted to go to church or not. And he's like, I didn't really grow up religious. So the two of us kind of went on this, had conversations about where spiritual, what it meant to us. And when we had our daughter is when we really kind of had to take a step back and being like, oh, how do we want to raise our daughter? Neither one of us wanted to like embed in one religion, but we really both really loved the Buddhism, just branches of it, what things that like unattaching ourselves from stuff, and just leaving this world a better place, karma, all of that started to come into play, living and creating merit. So we both kind of pulled from our experiences and then sat down, and that's where I think our value systems came from. Him having parents that were young, his parents were young when they had him. And so through both of our challenges and difficulties, we sat down and said, what's important to us? We literally sat down one day and just opened up our journals and said, okay, what's important? My number one was health, honesty, compassion, leading with integrity, service, not consuming constantly without thinking of the bigger, larger impact. And just we kind of married down our value. We had like a long list, and then we kind of pared it down to see, okay, what's the similar threads in between? What's really important to both of us? And health was number like one, relationships, compassion and love, leading with that. How do we raise our child with that? Discipline and consistency, like what does that mean to us? And continuously these change. They like we have one, two, three, four, five, but in different parts of our life, if health is doing well, then okay. Oh, maybe relationship moves a little bit ahead on top of health because okay, we're having some difficulties. We're not seeing eye to eye. There's a daughter now who's aging and going to be heading towards puberty. Like, let's have a different conversation. And communication is definitely a huge value of ours. I think we have stuck it out, and I say that humbly because marriage is a phenomena. Like, and it's easy to go jump and want to say, I'm out, peace out, like, I want to quit. But it's harder to stay disciplined, commitment, and see the other
Mm-hmm.
side of this person who's changing with you and who's also changing and getting information and getting all of this stuff from the outside world. Um, and then having to like put it through our own lens and our own filters and sit with this. What does all of this mean to us? What is all these systems in this world? What is all of these political views and health information coming in, constantly changing? So we're constantly having those conversations. That's our dinner conversations. That's our sitting down when we don't watch TV on weekdays. We're talking, we're communicating, and I think that's been a superpower of ours because we talk it out. It looks sometimes it looks ugly, sometimes it's very emotional driven, and we're emotional creatures learning to have this human experience, but then also finding equilibrium,
Yeah,
finding that balance of temporary, like, and that's what balance is. It's temporary. Like we want balance to be this constant, like linear path, but you have balance for a moment and then oof, you're on to the next thing. And there's another hurdle to climb and challenge. So that's been a big part of our life of figuring out our value system.
totally.
And once we've solidified that, now I think it's made our parenting journey and our communication so much easier and clearer because there's not as much misunderstanding. There's not as much there's more compassion in saying, hey, my husband doesn't have to see parenting the same way I do, and it does, and often it isn't. He's like, man, you know what, I'm easy on the bedtime. I think we should trust our daughter's innate body, and when she feels tired we should let her go to bed. And I'm like, uh no thank you. I hear you. However, if she wants to go to bed at 10, 11 at night, that's not okay for our relationship, for her body, and we're not helping her to kind of discipline herself to wind down. So it's a constant communication.
I love that you said that because I know what I was looking up there is just like that communication around disagreement, right? Like you have disagreement even in your household. You can't
Yeah.
cancel culture your husband. You can't cancel
No.
culture your daughter. You have to work through
Nope.
those things, and like you said, it's not always beautiful to have those conversations. You're exhausted. You probably had tons of conversations all day. Then when you want to have some you time, you've got to pick up your daughter. You got to take her to this thing. You got to take her to that thing. There's traffic, there's conversations, there's grocery shopping, there's cleaning the house, there's laundry, there's trying to communicate, about animals if you've got them in the household. There's so many different variables that come in. But one thing is guaranteed. When you stop communicating, it leads to a lack of understanding. A lack of understanding
Yeah.
leads to judgment, which leads to divisiveness. And then that leads to things like divorce, like hatred, like animosity, like distrust. But when you can have those hard conversations, it leads to a special level of intimacy, which then leads to a mutual valuing or mutual understanding of like, okay, I don't agree, But now I can see why you think the way you do. And we can have another follow-up conversation as we continue to evolve in the human experience. I think it's important to have these conversations based on curiosity, based on wanting to reach compromise, not based on trying to be right.
Hmm. Yeah, and we've come a long way. That what you just said, not wanting to be right. There was a huge part of life and relationships, um, where you want to be right. Your ego is so intertwined with your values, and it's trying to protect you, and it's trying to tell you, like, oh my God, you're under threat. If somebody comes with a different view or opinion, or wants to raise our daughter a little bit differently, there was a time where I was very defensive and protective, and that's my work. That was my inner work, and saying, hey, 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 I know, talking to myself and being like, I know what you're trying to do and keep me safe, and you think I'm under threat, but I'm not. We're safe here. We're going to have a conversation, and we're going to do this differently than it's been done in the past. And it's really continuously exploring
Mm-hmm.
that, because our ego is going to come, even if we've done all the self-help work for years, and we are gurus of it. There's going to be a new layer in your relationship, in a new season of entrepreneurship, parenting, where the world is at, and your health journey. Everything is evolving constantly, and you're going to have to parent yourself through all of that, and also face your ego through all of
Mm-hmm.
that.
As somebody that transitioned, I guess, or maybe, tiptoed and had some experience in different cultures, philosophies, and religions as a child, you eventually found your way into corporate America. That was probably some sort of security for you for a while until you started to sniff out that it lacked alignment with your ethos and who you wanted to be in the world, the artificial light, the just the corporate structure being very robotic and not as humane. How'd you do it for so long? And then what was the catalyst that allowed you to then pivot and at first really focus on parenting and then later create your coaching business?
Oh, well, I say, oh, it's a big question. I did do it so long because I say I drank the Kool-Aid. In coming from a culture of East Indian, I would call myself the black sheep of the family. You're supposed to be a doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer. That's your path. It's already laid out. And I had nothing. I was like, kind of like yourself. I'm like, learning. Like, I love experiences. I want to do shit. I want to get out there. That's how I
Mm-hmm.
learn. Like, let's get messy. And I never fit in the college world. I kept changing my majors, and the best way for me was, it was who I knew, not what I knew. I landed every one of my corporate jobs because who I knew. And they're like, "Oh, okay, you'd be a great fit. Okay, let's go." I would jump in, and I was so eager. I'm like, I'm going to climb up this corporate ladder. It felt like a self-fulfilling prophecy. I was like, okay, I'm doing it. Maybe I can make them
Mm-hmm.
proud. If I work hard enough and work up the ladder, get these titles, accolades, I'll make them proud. And it just never really felt enough, or never felt fulfilling. And I was always living somebody else's script. I was, it didn't feel authentic. And it took me almost like 2 decades to figure that out. The last half of the second decade, I was trying to get pregnant. Couldn't. My husband and I had been from 30 till I had my daughter at 37. For about 5, 6 years, we kept trying the natural, and nothing's working except for the signs. I do all the testings. My cortisol levels are through the roof. It's like I'm being chased by a bear all the time. And my naturopath told me that. Nobody else could see my imbalances of my hormones that I'd paid for, but I started to kind of dive deeper into the naturopathic medicine world, and being like, oh, what does that mean? What does it mean my cortisol levels are through the roof and I'm not doing anything? I'm just living. And she's like, you had a lot of trauma growing up, and that puts your body in constant fight and flight, fight and flight. Being in the corporate world, your body's still stuck in that same pattern. And as long as you're in that pattern, your body is not safe to have a baby. And I was like, oh, so no matter what, I'm not getting pregnant. There's nothing actually wrong physically, but it's this system that's constantly on repeat. So I'm working for this massive steel company in Canada, and I work directly for the owner as his assistant. And he's kind of talked to him about getting a raise. I want to leave, go into sales, and he's had this call with him, and I was like, I want to change my position. And he's like, Reet, that's kind of not in the cards for you right now. I think you should just stay where you are. You're doing a great job. Um, and the raise, we're just not in the cards for you right now. And it just didn't sit with me at all well. And I'm like, it's not in the cards for me. What do you mean it's not in the cards for me? And that was on a Friday. Monday, I went in and I said, you know what? I'm going to have to humbly resign. This is not in the cards for me anymore. This job is not working for me. Um, thank you so much. I appreciate the experience. And he was just in shock and a little bit. And he offered me a massive pay raise and offered to put me in 6 months to transition me into sales. Everything I'd asked for a week before.
People always want
He's
what they
like,
can't have. The moment you're
right.
willing to really walk away is when people start to chase.
Yep. And he said that, and he's like, you could have, I'll give you this 30,000 pay increase. I'll give you, and I looked at him, and I had to think about it, because at the time we live in a world that we need money and time. And so I thought about it, and I was like, sick to my stomach. I was like, if I take this job, I'm going to resent myself in 6 months. The money's not going to be enough. I'm going to still be under this
The
umbrella.
money
Feel
was the
like
golden
I'm
handcuffs.
yeah, it was. And I had to really think about it. I had to go into my own internal value system and being like, if you know anything, Reet, money will come and go. But what you're selling, your time and your energy, for what he's putting a value on for you. And it just, something clicked at that time. And that was about 11, 12 years ago. And I was like, I can't. Thank you so much. I I appreciate it. And I declined. And he literally was like in shock, but he respected me, and we walked away with good, like, standings. I never burned my bridge or anything. But he also was the one who got me into the leading physician in Toronto, the leading fertility doctor, because I my body still wasn't getting pregnant. So I was like, hey, sure, let he opened that door for me. So I took it. I took him up on it. And within a week, I was in this fertility clinic, everything. Um, so I did have my daughter through IVF, and it worked the first time, but it took about a year. I didn't do it right away. I took my time. I like right away I left that corporate world, and I worked in hospitality. I loved it. It felt like I left my job at work. I got to serve people, bring them joy, have authentic conversations, and I was just naturally really good at it. And I was like, here I thought my whole life I was beneath this job of serving, because I bought into the story that the Canada, corporate America is the way to go. You get benefits, you get sold this bill of goods, and I bought that until it wasn't working anymore. And I was only going to the doctors because I'm full of anxiety and stress. And they just want to put me on meds. And I'm like, I don't do meds. I was like, that shit numbs the shit out of me. And I am not sitting here to be numb. I want to feel life. I want to know life. And so that was my journey. And after that, I kind of worked at the restaurant for a few years, and I learned a little bit more about life out in the world, of away from this big corporation, and being like, oh, wow, they sell you a lot saying you get the whole package and benefits, but here I am making more money. I may not have benefits, but I'm making more money because I'm providing more value, and people appreciate me, and I appreciate them, and I'm doing what I love. and I'm not
Well, and
stressed.
also biologically, you're getting that feedback, right? Like you're doing something for somebody,
Yes.
you're seeing the joy on their face. They're saying please and thank you. I think
Yeah.
I think Jim Carrey said it. He said depression and anxiety are when you're wearing a mask. You're playing the role of an avatar that's not in alignment with your true self. And I think a lot of corporate America is that. People find ways to cope with it. Some people are groomed for it. Some people are really good at it. They make great money. They've got the benefits. They've got all the thing. But my intuition, being a little bit more of an empath, crosses paths with those people, and I feel like they just don't get it. Everything's a
Yeah.
comparable measure. They're successful, but they're not peaceful. So I don't really see that as a success. I see it as chaotic monetized wealth. They go to sleep at night wondering if they're going to hit the jackpot the next day. But when you serve, there's something really human about that. And unfortunately, it's not monetized the way it should be. But if you took hospitality away, it would leave a huge hole in the market.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. It's a little bit of a confusing paradox to me because it seems like you don't need as much training to work in hospitality. But like you said, most people of higher education feel like that role is beneath them based on the social hierarchy that we've created. So as a byproduct, more people are willing to gamble their honest energy in the realm of corporate because of the incentive, as opposed to trust their humane biology because they don't believe that it can monetize or give them the desired outcome of, like you said, in relation to Buddhism, attachment to consumerism, attachment to title, attachment to the validation and the notoriety that comes with driving the car, having the house, going to the big office building, wearing the suit, doing the thing. That then you go to the Christmas party or the birthday party, and you have this intrinsic bravado based on how the world sees you because of a narrative that's been painted by who knows. And all of a sudden,
Hmm.
it shifts your state, but it's an act. If you
Yeah.
actually do the work to shift your state and connect and love and try to be a great partner, a great human, a great server of the world, there is a different energy there. And I don't know if I quite have the articulation of the language to describe that through a podcast, but you can feel it when you're around those types of people that are, maybe perceived as gurus, or they have a special energy.
Hmm.
You're like, man, there's something about that person, or the way they said that thing, it really resonated. And then there's the other side. It's like, man, there's something about, they have this unique way of playing the game, but there's a sadness about them. There's an
Hmm.
inauthenticity that feels different, is the phrase that I'll probably use, because it's not bad.
No, it almost feels
Yes.
incomplete. They're not the truest version of themselves. So it feels like there's something missing. It's not complete. They're not allowing themselves to really show up as what they really think and feel and believe. They're always worried about, am I going to offend somebody in the corporate? I don't want to show up. I can't you can't see me like this. But see me like what? Let's see you like yourself. There shouldn't be a
Mm-hmm.
split.
I like the way you said that. Based on your challenges with mom and dad, different ideologies, different religions, different relationships, what was your journey of making peace with your inner child? And how were you able to kind of meet the silenced, angry, confused little girl inside? And how are you able to keep her safe today?
Oh, I'll completely be honest. That's an ongoing journey. And I think, especially being a parent, it brings things full circle for forgiveness, compassion to your
Mm.
parents and the people that hurt you. And sometimes they are your parents. In my case, my father and my mother did the best they could, but there was a lot of pain involved. And going on this journey of motherhood, that was my destiny. I know it. How it came about, the challenges it took me to get here, that was my key. And to my back to myself, back to forgiving myself, and for all those feeling of not belonging or not feeling enough or having to prove my worth in a society that bases it on the color of your skin, or if you're a male, or if you what education you had. I had all of these constructs that I had to dismantle, that were related to, I thought, that were related to my self-worth. And they had to, I literally one by one had to cut the cord, and I still am, because this little child of mine that I'm so gifted with, she gets to remind me the parts that I still need healing, the parts maybe that I have self-abandoned or haven't accepted fully. Um, because these kids know them, like, they haven't been programmed yet. Their people are trying to, but they push back. And when they push back, it kind of triggers something in me. It's like when I ask my daughter to do something and she doesn't listen right away, I'm like, what? What do you mean? And I have to question myself, because of course she's a human. She doesn't have to uh she's she's not an animal to be trained. Just, we try to, but in parenting her, I'm reparenting
Mm-hmm.
myself. And I'm compassion has been one of the key things, and it's big in Buddhism. Kind compassion, love and compassion starts with yourself. And having showing myself for not knowing what I didn't know in the past when I first had her through this whole journey, and coming back home now, is every day. It's day by day in this world that we are uh just a hot mess in sometimes. What saves me is every day my gratitude that I get to live this
Mm-hmm.
life. I'm a living miracle every single day, and that's what I practice with my daughter. I'm like, we are fortunate to be alive. We are miracles in living form, and let's live like that. And that's not woo woo, that's not a philosophy. It's words that they resonate, they connect to my breath. When I said that, I got to breathe a little deeper and connect to myself a little deeper, because I can see bigger than myself.
I've got
I can see that we're all battling the systems. When we're in this world trying to have an experience, and there is no
mm-hmm.
manual.
I've got a special one for you. Sometimes we forget who we are until life strips away who we are not. And as your upbringing takes you from experience to experience, from energy to energy, from knowledge to wisdom to trauma, the peak, the valley, everything in between, we're almost like sponges when we're young. We're absorbing, we're like Velcro, things are sticking to us. And somewhere along the line, we just feel a little bit lost. Our lenses are a little bit cluttered. The energy is a little bit confusing, and it takes a good set of scissors to start trimming the fat. And then it brings us back to this minimalist ideology of I was living to consume. I thought that I needed to leave and escape and do. But I
Mhm.
really was trying to learn how to hold space and be. That might be one of the hardest things in the world is learning how to be with ourself and not gain this validation from all of the doing in the world. And that sounds so cliche, but it's very difficult to do. And like you said, you might have it one moment and then it escapes you the next. Like temptation is everywhere. And doing is really fun sometimes. Being is hard. Like we talked about at the beginning of this conversation, having your daughter almost be in pursuit of boredom is one of the greatest things you can do as a parent, but it's so hard.
Oh, it challenges every nerve ending in your body because they're gonna be on you. I'm bored. Like they're coming at you, and now you got to sit in that
Mm-hmm.
discomfort, and you got to watch them sit in that discomfort before that zone of genius kicks in. There might be a 20 to 30 minute, maybe 40 minute of whining and like tantruming and discomfort on both ends. And it would be easy to throw an iPad in her face or just give her something. But I think what I'm training both of us is instant gratification is not the way to go. And the skill and discipline of sitting in discomfort and just being, like you said, is a gift we can give
Mm-hmm.
ourselves. And it was like the most recent tattoo I got on my sleeve recently. I just said, be
Mm.
still. Because even I catch myself often do more, do more, do more. And in this season, I feel like I'm in a void, a bit of a gap era of I'm shedding myself and not quite birthed my new self. And I'm in this middle and it feels really uncomfortable, uncertain, and raw and visceral. And all I could do was like remind myself, you be still right now.
I love
The
that.
answer comes to
I
you.
can't help but be awakened a little bit based on what you just said, in the sense of sometimes sitting with somebody can be so healing. Holding space sounds like you're doing nothing, but in holding that space, you're giving someone the opportunity to breathe, to think, maybe to do a body scan, to disconnect from all the other thoughts from the day, to be in the present moment, to maybe word vomit, to cry, to laugh, to share. When necessary, you can prompt that person. And going back to our healthcare system, something that's so fascinating to me is the preventative medicine side of wellness comes with this financial stigma of, what have you done for me lately? Why am I not losing weight? Why am I not gaining muscle? I'm paying this fee. I should get this thing. But we don't put the same standards and the same scrutiny on the other side. Oh, I had this pain. I don't want to go there because I don't want to have to pay the copay. Oh, they're just going to give me pills, or they're going to send me to physical therapy. I need an MRI. I have to get surgery. I need the CT scan. I just think it's important to note that healing is not always doing something. And sometimes when you're with a coach and they're co-piloting your journey towards a better place, like you went to them because what you're doing isn't working. Whether you're working with them on fitness, on wellness, on perspective, on therapy, on journaling, on simply talking with that person, like their time is valuable. And I think having a third
Mhm.
party is even more valuable, because sometimes people are like, oh, I don't need that. I can just call my parents, or I can just talk to a friend. It's not the same because they come with a bias.
No.
They're almost going to
Yeah.
sugarcoat your bullshit. And so the
Yeah.
point that I'm making, like, yes, some people might perceive it, oh, he's in the wellness space, it's just a sale. And it's like, it's not the same thing though. Like, I am trying to make myself available for what I wish I had when I was younger and in those phases. And even in my current state of affairs, I hire a coach and a healer to help for that exact reason. Could I talk to friends? Absolutely. Could I talk to my wife? Absolutely. Do I? Absolutely. But it's not the same. And
Yeah.
and that's the point that I'm making as far as our system. Like, for those of you listening, if you made it this far in the conversation, I really hope you did, because there's a lot of valuable nuggets that we shared today. Don't
Mhm.
discredit the people that care about you, that make themselves available to serve you in your journey. I'm going to say it again. Do not discredit the people that make themselves available to serve you in your journey. That's overlooked because it seems convenient. It seems easy. It seems low barrier to entry. You can't even get a hold of a doctor without going through an automated system and talking to a front desk person and scheduling an appointment. A consult costs an arm and a leg for most doctors these days. And that's not a knock on doctors. It's a
No.
knock on what's challenging based on the system and the availability. But healing, you have to be available to heal. And your goal is to
Yeah.
give human beings the tools so that they can heal themselves with beautiful lifestyle and habit, but then have access to somebody that can do a little oil change weekly or monthly and kind of reset, recalibrate the operating system, because we're humans. We're going to be conditionalized to think, what else can we get? What else can we do? How do we push the boundaries? What can we get away with? Oh, I needed that dopamine hit. So, I drank a bunch of alcohol, or I ate some bad food, or I missed on sleep the last few days. Whatever the thing is, like it negatively impacts our humanness, our biology, our physiology. And having somebody in your corner that's going to kind of create a framework, that's going to listen, that can provide for you more than what our traditional healthcare system currently can. I think a lot of today, Reet, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, is creating awareness to know that preventative medicine is available. And you've got some amazing people that maybe they don't come with the credentialism of
Yeah.
the Western medicine side, but who the fuck cares? They can help guide
Yeah.
you and they can serve you. And that combination can really lead to a beautiful life and lead to a little bit more certainty and clarity amongst all the chaos being thrown our way with health and wellness.
That's beautifully said, Bryce. Yeah. I think there's something to be said for reaching out to help, reaching out for help to the people that are available to you. We can make ourselves available, but if the person on the other side doesn't receive or accept our help, there's not much more we can do. We can keep offering, showing up, but it's important to emphasize that it's safe to ask for help. It may not always feel, our mind and brain may tell us that we got to do it alone. They're going to judge my journey. And my experience has been every single time I've hired a mentor, a coach, a trainer, they've taken me to that next level that I couldn't get by myself. I'd plateaued. I only knew what I knew. And they brought in a new awareness about my body, or maybe a limiting where I was limiting
Mm-hmm.
myself, where I'm biased and I'm not seeing the
But I
other
also
side.
think you came in with an openness, and I think some people they'll turn on a podcast and be like, what can I get from this? If it doesn't catch me right away, I'm turning it off or I'm not subscribing. Or I've had people come in that were like, man, like I've heard great things about you. There's immediate trust just because of the referral system. They talk to somebody else, whatever.
Mhm.
But then there's people you meet for the first time. And in any relationship, there's typically some sort of buyer and some sort of seller. And it doesn't feel good when you're just kind of like, hey, like you came to me. I'm here to try to help and serve you and listen to your experience, but you're putting a wall up and it's almost making me like want to try to sell, to show you like, hey, I see where you're at. Like I've been there before. Like I can help you. I can serve you. We've been in the space for this long. We start going down the rabbit hole of like, love us, let us help you. Very rarely does that
Yeah.
work, but it's just so interesting how humans, as opposed to giving people like a 10 out of 10 and being like, you know what I'm doing is not working, let me try this. They come in and they're like,
Mhm.
you're a zero. Prove yourself to me, mofo. And it's like, that's exhausting. No doctor has
Yeah.
to do that.
No.
It's an interesting thought.
And it's something I've been sitting with lately, proving myself. I've been journaling, I've been writing on it, and I'm like, it's one of those things that I'm kind of in journey of proving myself in spaces. And yes, I think we do have to have honest conversations and transparency, but when that is constantly a state, it gets into a defensive, and I'm an open book. What do you want to know? I'll
Mm-hmm.
tell you. All I ask is the return the same thing. Like, be honest about your where you are in your life. If you're really low, say you're really low. Let's and maybe let me help you get there, right? Maybe you don't know where you are. Um, but this proving myself, I've been there
Mm-hmm.
before, is what I keep. It comes back to I've been there. Where have I been there before? Oh, in the corporate world. Oh, having religious world. Oh, in all of these systems that kept trying to make me conform. What did I have to do? I had to prove myself to get a raise. I had to prove my worth. I had to prove that I was working hard enough. I was prove that I was being a believer,
Mm-hmm.
or Jesus loved me if I proved myself. No, that's bullshit. I'm connected to the highest source. It's already God is within me and all around me. And when you can operate from that, and also that it's not just within me, it's in all of
Mm-hmm.
us. We're all a creation of the creator. And I take that with a lot of reverence. And I live my life with that. And the more I live like that, the less I have to prove.
And the,
The more I surround myself with people that truly want to serve, the less I'm selling, the more I'm magnetizing, and I'm truly drawing people. And I don't mean to sound woo woo, but this opportunity to be on your podcast came to
mm-hmm.
me, and I put it out there and saying, I'm a podcaster, but I want to get on
Mm-hmm.
others. I want to have different conversations so I can see through a different
Mm-hmm.
lens. And but I show up in rooms that feel uncomfortable, where I feel like I don't know. Like, everybody seems really qualified, but you know what? That uncertainty and that bit of uncomfort helps me to grow. And then you show up in the room and you realize, oh, I do know quite a bit about a lot of different
Mm-hmm.
areas. And I can speak on that and on those things. But you know what? I'm here to learn on all of those and build on
Mm-hmm.
that. So I can be more of service and provide more like value.
I also think it's important to be open to a conversation. I was watching an interview last night and somebody was just interviewing. It was like one person kind of trying to play like I'm better than you, you're below me. I'm just going to ask the questions. I think what's fun is having a conversation and like playing back and forth and the
Mhm.
sharing of experience. And I also can really tell that you've done the work because you share so honestly. You share with authenticity. You're not cryptically speaking on events or lifestyle experiences, walking on eggshells, feeling like you're going to be judged. You're like, I've already been through the worst. Like, I know who I am and I'm going to continue to evolve. And that's part of the reason why we really wanted to have you on the show. We love the authenticity that you're operating. We love how you put family first. And I want to share that with our listeners. You're doing an amazing job with this mission of helping women to truly help them feel seen, heard, understood. And if they might be a little bit lost, I think who you are and why you choose to operate could be a great safe space for them to begin their journey. Will you share that with us a little bit?
Absolutely. So I do help women. I have a Reignite with Reet podcast. I exclusively for now, I'm offering it space for women to talk about all of our journeys. Anywhere from providing psychologists, breathwork facilitators, resources, as well as sharing stories and our struggles. And through that, I also offer coaching, one-on-one and group coaching. I call it empowerment and action
Mm,
coaching, because we learn a lot about mindset. I have a whole library of self-help books, but sometimes there's a gap after you've read the book on how to take action into your life. I like working with women to help them bridge
mm,
that. I like connecting the mindset to action in their life and saying, what are small steps? Because that leap seems unattainable and it feels scary. And most people will read the books but won't implement in their life. And then they don't see any change. And it just, so I like to help women, small rituals daily, whether it's breath work, meditation, having a safe space to come, and then also allowing them to shine from the outside. I'm also a stylist. And once we've done the inside work, and that never stops, but allowing women to be like who they truly
Mm,
are, shed away the layers and the blazers, and if you love wearing a blazer, great, let's put one on. But if that's not who you really are, let's uncover. I like working with women, to helping them uncover themselves, not who they need to be for their husband, their kids, their boss, their parents. Really, who do they want to be? Especially in midlife, women are changing and evolving, and we get through a phase where we feel very lost, alone, wildly crazy at times. Um, and let's talk about it.
I'm,
Let's bridge the gap and connect, because we're not
mhm,
crazy. That's our gift. That's the awakening happening, making you really uncomfortable that you have to make change.
that's beautiful. Where can people find more about you?
I'm on Instagram. You can find me at Reignite with Reet. I have a website as well. Uh, reignitewithreet.com, and you can follow me on my personal page, because I don't have one-sided, right? I kind of mesh the two because I live
Hmm.
this. So you can find me, add me on Reet German, and connect with me, DM me. And I just love working with women in all capacities, in group or in one-on-one.
So special. I really appreciated our conversation today. Is there anything that you wanted to touch on that we didn't get to today?
You know what? We did it quite full circle. I really appreciated all of your insights and just holding space for me. And I really appreciated you sharing also your vulnerability of, having lost your parents and your struggles. That really also opens the door for me to feel vulnerable and open.
Hmm.
That we're here to connect, right? Connection is key. And we're so quick to correct, but can we just take a moment and just try to connect at some small level? Maybe we're not going to see eye to eye on everything, but can we find some common ground to have a conversation and connect?
Beautifully said. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed my conversation with Reet German, please rate, review, subscribe, and share with your friends. And as always, guys, stay on the hunt for who you've not yet become. Until next time, thank you, Reet.